Good morning. Thank you very much again for joining us today for the monthly forum. Again, remember that as usual, we would have some updates from sponsored programs, Office of Research, as well as accounting. And hopefully there would be lots of time for your questions, and we go from there. So the first presentation we would be updates from sponsored programs. I have to tell you that as of last Friday, Grace is no longer with University of California. She left our office for a different position in Stanford. So we don't have her today in the forum. The position is vacant right now. We would hopefully soon announce the vacancy. So meanwhile, Kelly, who is Associate Director and has been responsible for the proposal side, is also managing the award now as the interim executive associate director with the help of 3 team leaders. So with that, Kelly is going to give us updates on all proposals, awards, and sub-awards. Kelly, do you want to go, please?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well this morning. I want to start with some brief updates from all 3 teams in sponsored programs. Start with proposals. In regard to proposals, we wanted to talk a little bit about NIH submissions. And wanted to remind everybody that when you are preparing to submit to NIH, including any supplemental requests, please use Cayuse 424 as opposed to Assist. We have found that Cayuse 424 is more user-friendly and provides quicker validation. Because Assist submissions typically take a bit longer, if you are going to use Assist, please allow a little bit of extra time for submission. Does anybody have any questions about 424 versus Assist? Perry, I can't see the chat when I'm in presenting mode, so if you could let me know, that would be great.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to subawards. This one's pretty easy. We had received some questions from people about the subaward request form, specifically the field that said KFS fund. So the intent of that field was to provide the accounting fund number. We understand that can be a little bit confusing. So we have updated the form field on our website to reflect that it's accounting fund number, but wanted to let everybody know who may have downloaded the form and is working off of a previous copy what the intent was. And it's also a good reminder that now would be a good time to download the updated subaward request form. And then last but not least in our updates this morning, a few things about awards. With Grace's departure, B. Rand Strong is going to be primarily taking over for report submission. So as opposed to Grace's name, please list B's name. If for some reason you inadvertently list Grace's, we can fix that on our end. But to keep the process as smooth as possible, if you can please try to list B, that would be wonderful. And then, as you probably all are very well aware, fiscal year end is nearing quite quickly. So please be sure to submit any agreements and/or amendments that you know need to be signed prior to the end of the fiscal year as soon as possible.
There are some comments in the chat.
Okay.
Well, about the KFS line being replaced, someone asked PPM chart string. I guess they're wondering what the accounting fund number is that they would put there. And someone else asked for subaward.
For subawards, yes, for subaward requests. My understanding is it's your KFS fund number that we're asking be included in that field.
And then earlier there's a question about the 424 recommendation to use Cayuse instead of Assist. Someone asked if we could send that as an email that they can forward to their faculty, because they encourage them to use Cayuse 424, but some still prefer Assist.
Yeah. Ahmad, can we send something out on the list, or would that be okay?
Yeah, we will take care of it later today.
Oh, okay. And just to be clear, we can still use assist. It just takes longer. So we would prefer 424, but we're not going to not submit if somebody chooses to use assist. We'll still work with it.
Okay.
Okay,
And
thank you.
there's a new chat. It says, if we submitted RPPR with Grace's name, do we need to change?
No, we can fix that here on our end.
Okay, thank you. James, this is your time. I don't know
Good morning.
what your update is today. Good morning.
Well, let's see what I've got. I have a couple of things. First, let me piggyback on the question about the fund to put on that form. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my screens to do what I want them to do, but oh, shoot. Sorry, technical difficulties.
That's okay. We had only 4 years of practice on Zoom.
Right. Actually, before I put this on the screen, let me just say, so I think, yeah, actually the PP, instead of the quote unquote fund, that's an old world concept at this point. We can work, Kelly, we can work with you to kind of figure out what maybe the best label is on that. But I think, yeah, for just, if you put in the quote unquote PPM, lingo, the PPM chart string, that would be probably the best. But I'll also chat with my folks to make sure I'm not misguiding you. But just the fund number itself isn't going to help too much. Okay, let me just put something on my screen. So I want to first share what I think many of you might have observed is indirects are currently posting wrong, and we've got the fix kind of working its way through. It should be hitting before long, but just let me go quickly through what happened. So for just an error, the system was set up to, when posting indirect, let me just stop there and back up. When we post indirects, what we want is the expense, the debit, to be hitting your sponsored project, because that's an expense that, you know, that belongs on the project, that we need to bill for, that you can see the costs are calculated correctly, those types of things. That has been happening just fine. And on my screen, hopefully you can see my screen is coming through. It says indirects. For some reason, I guess more technical difficulties. Anyhow, that's what you see in your project represented by the first line here without any of the red stuff. So you've got a F&A cost hitting project K30 CNS CR whatever for $1,131. The problem was what the system was posting was that offset, which is the credit where we're collecting all of the indirects that are going through the system. We collect them up across the year, and then at the end of the year, we send it over to the budget office, and then that goes through the indirect return process that, you know, all the people, all of the offices, whatever, that get a portion of the indirects, that's what happens. Unfortunately, what the system has been doing is represented by those red numbers that have been crossed out. So what it was doing effectively was putting a credit right back into the project where the expense is, washing it out, so it looked like you didn't have any indirect costs. So that's not really good. So what it's been, like I said, it's been identified as being fixed, and the red numbers that are crossed out, that's what the system is currently doing incorrectly. The red numbers that are not crossed out, that's what the fix is going to do. So instead of it putting it into the department's financial account, it'll put it into 10005, which is the CGA central account. So CGA will be collecting up all those credits. The natural account is different. So it'll be in kind of that recovery, collecting bucket. There won't really be a project associated with per se, because it's all just accumulating of everything across all of the awards, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that those of you that that have seen this will say, oh, okay, good. I think my folks are anxious to get that in there. This is what you see in PPM. Sorry. So yeah, I always got to clarify. So in PPM, you see this, although, that's where within the PPM subledger is really where we are focused, because that is where we're really doing our business. That's where all of the transaction activity is visible. Here you can see specific lines on airfare, et cetera, versus the GL, which was just the roll up of all this information and doesn't give you any granularity. So the PPM subledger and project costs are where you want to be looking for that. Okay, so that was one item. Also, I kind of have I guess it's just a request. I want to show you something. Speaking of subawards, Kelly, Kelly and B called something to our attention recently, and that is apparently that somehow the PO PDF form out of the system when we set up a PO, it has been shared with some of our subawardees, and there's been some confusion and, I don't know, pushback, because the PO form, I didn't put a circle up here, in the supplier instructions points to purchasing policy and says purchasing terms and conditions are here. Well, that's true, but that is totally irrelevant to our subawards. The subaward terms and conditions are contained within the actual subaward agreement. So my request is, please don't send this PDF to anybody. just if you're communicating, just send them an email or whatever with the PO number itself. That's the number that you want to get them to get on their invoices, so that when it does come into supply chain to invoicing at UC Davis, it goes in, they can look up that PO number and they're good to go. What we're working on is trying to, this block up here is hard. Apparently we met with supply chain representatives yesterday, and this information up here is hard coded. There's not a way to make this dynamic, like, without doing massive programming or something, but we're looking into possibly using some other fields, maybe down here, to try to clarify that what it says up above doesn't pertain. I mean, this is not ideal. This is, even if we can get some verbiage in there that says ignore that statement above, really look at the terms and conditions of the sub-agreement. It's way better if we just don't have to have that confusion out there at all. Hopefully that's making sense for you. See some questions about indirects, I think. Indirects. Okay, I'll circle back to the indirect questions in a second here. Oh, I see Stephanie. Oh yeah, okay. All right, but on the subaward PO issue, any questions there? And then I'll try to drop back to the indirects. Okay, I don't see any. Okay, Stephanie actually clarified something that I should have said, but it slipped my mind, and that is, if I go back, okay. Yeah, there it is. Oh, and all my pretty squiggles. Let's get rid of those. Um, so I was talking about, we got the fix coming in so that things will post to these to different financial department account project, for the credit side. We also have a big cleanup journal that will be coming through, and we'll be stripping all those incorrectly posted credits out of your project, so you can really see what should be there. I don't know the exact timing here. It's near future. This is kind of a high priority. We're trying to get it fixed within the next. Stephanie, did you commit to any?
The journal entry, we're planning to do that this week, potentially
Okay.
today.
Okay.
But that will be fixing January to April. But then the permanent fix within Oracle is, we're still testing that, but we will
Okay.
do a journal entry to at least fix this at the ledger.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we're trying to do it as fast as possible. I just don't want to promise too soon. I see a hand from Lori.
Yes, can you please let us know, can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you please tell me how this is gonna affect our accounts? Because that's the big piece for us, and I've been closing awards for the last couple of weeks. So how is this going to affect my accounts, my projects, excuse me?
The incorrect credits are going to be removed from your account, from your projects. I don't want to say accounts, although in this case it would be the same account that's getting backed out of. And then we'll have to evaluate what you've got. I mean, if you're saying you closed it out, not recognizing there was an erroneous credit, then let's contact your contract administrator. They're the people that are working on the final invoice, final report, and make sure we've got the same numbers.
Wait, James.
Just in person, but so overall, what you're saying is when this happens, all of our accounts are going to go significantly have less in them, right? That we did.
Yep.
No,
All the balances that we've been giving our PIs for the last
no.
are wrong.
No, this report is from the GL. If you look at the actual project cost, this indirect recovery is not posted on there. So the project costs are correct.
Okay.
There's not going to be any credit or anything. There's nothing reporting on the actual project cost expenditure report that contract administrators are using. This is just the GL report.
Good. I lied then earlier. Good.
Okay, that clarifies
Back my lie
that.
out.
Thank you.
So you do not have extra money to spend.
Well, no, it would have been the reverse. We less
Would have
money.
been worse.
'Cause you're
Or
taking your credit.
whatever. Regardless, no, the project cost, if you look on the project cost report, it is correct. This is just on the GL level reporting that it's showing that offset, which that's
So
always
only when we're comparing it to when we're trying to compare our totals to the GL, that that's why we're not matching.
right.
Okay, but we're not, our actual amounts in our accounts will not change because this is the GL and not the PPM.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Lenora. I was just often whatever. Okay. Those are the two topics that I wanted to bring up. There was a mention earlier about fiscal close. Just to let you know, so I guess this is the third topic I want to bring up, but I don't have a slide. Those are the two slides I wanted to bring up. For fiscal close, this is obviously the first time we're all going through this in the new system. What we're trying to do, because of some different functionality in Oracle, in Aggie Enterprise, we're trying to do a lot of the things that we used to reach out to departments and have you do a big push on to do those centrally, meaning accruing expense associated with subawards. Our revenue recognition is process functionality within the system is completely different than what we did in KFS. So a lot of our big push to get overdrafts cleared and scoop up overdraft amounts and send them to the dean's office accounts. We're still really honestly nailing down some of this, how this should work, but we think that stuff should be off the table for you. That's not to say I want you to ignore your overdrafts. I always want you to clear your overdrafts. But it's going to be a different process. We're going to be taking some of that stuff a little bit more centrally, like those overdraft things. Those went in and out. It didn't really do a whole lot other than help us get the system in a place where we could appropriately recognize revenue. But like I said, revenue recognition is done completely differently, so it doesn't really. We've got another approach, I guess is what I'm saying. So hopefully that's good news for you that some of the things we've asked you to do won't be currently, we believe, or we're not going to need to do that. And Alyssa has a hand up.
Yeah, you may be getting to this, but so we can defer it if you're going to talk about it. But in years past, part of the fiscal close windup has been us reaching out to external subawards to encourage them to get their invoicing in, and then I think at least estimate invoicing, and I think it was like if it was below a certain amount, it's one thing, and if they're estimating over a certain amount, then we have to do this accrual thing or whatever.
Yeah. So that's again, we believe that we have a different approach to that.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt if you've got subs that just haven't been billing, say, hey, what's going on? Please get your invoice in. But we think we have a kind of a higher level way that we're going to tackle that this year, just to get the financials right and within the project, because again, that was the same type of thing. Those accruals, there was a fiscal close, I don't know, town hall session or whatever it was called a week ago or so. So if you haven't seen that, you might go look on the Aggie Enterprise site and take a look at that session. There was some good information, but what's, again, another big change is there is no quote unquote period 13 for everybody to be working in. It's period 12, June. The June ledger is it. Technically, there is a period 13 that happens outside of Aggie Enterprise where we can do some entries and send them to UCLP, but it's nothing that that you all would be working in. Anyway, the accruals that we used to do in the individual projects, those were just ins and outs. We put them on what we used to call the period 13 ledger, which we didn't use really for anything. We didn't use it for reporting. We didn't use it invoicing, cash draws, because that was just all that closed stuff that was just, trying to get the financials correct versus what we really wanted on the projects that would be visible, that we would make visible to sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. So anyhow, I hope I answered that question. And Lenora threw a little link in there to a fiscal close. Okay. That I think is what I was planning to share this morning. Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you very much, James.
Sure.
As I was predicting, this session is going to be short. Perry, do you want to talk about trainings coming up for the campus?
Will do. Before that, there's a new question that just came in the chat, James. Can someone please confirm that we don't need to do either accruals or deferrals for CNG?
We could probably try to update the webpage and put something on there. Oh, yeah. So again, it's we're stepping through this, trying to figure it out. I'm sorry, I did have one other thing I wanted to mention, and that is having to do with cost share and getting cost share projects set up. So in the finance office hours that are held from what, 10 to 11 on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, maybe that's being expanded, but we're going to carve out a few dates. They are, I'll put them in the chat. I'll put them in the chat in a minute. May 28th, June 6th, and June 13th, we're going to have kind of a focus on cost share. So if any of you have been having, I don't know, questions, concerns about how the cost share process works within Aggie Enterprise, those would be a day. The expertise to help you work through those issues on those dates. Again, I'll put it in the chat here. Hopefully that'll be a helpful a way for you to, and quick way for you to get some questions answered. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, James. So hello, everybody. I'm just have two quick things to share, and that is that we have two labs coming up. These are instructor-led over Zoom, and the first is in the chat. It's the awards lab. So the logic behind that, and I just added the second one, which is the Subawards lab. So you can now take classes offered by the Sponsor Programs Office in online as e-courses whenever you want to brush up or learn new things. And so these instructor-led classes, these labs, are opportunities for you to practice what you've learned. And we are, instructors are on hand. We put you through different activities related to processing awards or sub-awards, and you get hands-on practice doing them with people there to answer your questions in real time. So these classes have been well received. And so I encourage you, if you're feeling rusty, these are classes that we offer year-round, 3 times a year. So soon we'll be posting the schedule for the next fiscal year, and sign up. We have another lab like this for proposals. And that's everything. It's in the chat there, the links to register. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.
Thank you, Perry. Any questions from anybody from anywhere? Well, if not, at the beginning of this session, I told you that Grace left UC Davis at the end of last week. She was with our office for almost 7 years as the associate director responsible for the award side. It is retirement time of the year. So I just wanted to let you know that after more than 30 years serving this wonderful campus, I will also stop working at the end of June. So I will be here next time for next forum in June, and after that I would be in the retirement mode. It has been a pleasure working with all of you all these years. We started these forums in 2004, and ever since I have been having the pleasure of seeing people. Originally it was in person on campus, and the budget times were better times. I guess at the very beginning we used to have a continental breakfast even, and we met for quite a while in Silo, 2nd floor, and then we were different places. Then we moved it to combined online and in person when we moved to off campus. And now in the last 4 years, it has been completely Zoom. So things evolve, I guess. So the part of my evolution is to stop working at the end of June. Thank you very much for all of your support. We have a wonderful team in sponsored programs who keep serving the campus as we always have. Have a great rest of the day.